Very good. So, good morning. Happy Thursday. Today's Taste Life Nutrition Radio and Podcast streaming live on the amazing KUHSdenver.com, where we always have such amazing conversations with people who are making such a huge difference in the world. So today we have Ty Gipson. Ty Gipson is the founder. I love this so much. The founder of the No Options Mindset. So it's a philosophy. It's kind of what you've built your business around, right? You've got a massive story that we're going to get into. So thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited.
Well, Nikki, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. And I love talking to people who are from my home. You've got the accent that's like home for me. So
I
not Texas.
definitely have that. I definitely have that.
You do, you do. Okay, so we always start the show off with gratitude because gratitude can change the world. Ty, what are you grateful for?
Oh my gosh, I love kicking it off with gratitude. I think
Yeah.
I think we all sometimes overlook that, right? But man, I could go on probably for the whole length of this show just on gratitude, Nikki. But with my story and what I've been through and a lot of people's story, I'm just boil it down. I'm just excited. Every day to me is a bonus day
Oh,
because you know because I mean life is so we never know what's ahead of us, and so I'm just thankful for each day. Like I mean, I'm so thankful for my family and my and everything that I've been given, but more importantly, just another day. I'm grateful for another day because I think we overlook like today. Let's not think about down the road, but let's think about today. And I think
right now.
sometimes we miss
Yeah.
being present,
Agreed.
enjoying the day.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Totally
I'm thankful
agree.
for today.
Good. I love that. Very good. I would have to agree with you, but I think that also, looking at all of, your website and having talked to you in the past and your story and all the things that you've been through, this show is so much about resilience and building resilience. And my company is the same, right? It really, what we talk about is health is not what we don't want, right? We always look at health as the negative. I don't want to deal with what my parents dealt with, or I don't want to deal with this, instead of let's look at health as the potential that it gives us, right? Especially someone with a story like yours,
Yeah.
you're looking at every day is the potential, right? And what you can do and what more you can do. And that's what I hope to do with the show and with the company and with the people who I interact with, whether they're clients or friends or family. It's let's look at this, let's change the narrative. Let's look at the potential and the possibility that health gives us. I think
All right.
it's
Yeah, I love
such a
that.
yeah, it's such a really better way of looking at life and looking like what you said, at the present. And so we always kind of open the show with a little bit of, what the show is about. And so
All right.
really it is about, what I hope to bring to all of this is it is about to build our capacity to live well, to love well, to serve well, and to really live and give in this life and steward this life that God gave us. And so we want to always bring in people who are people like you. We bring in entrepreneurs, people who have a story, who are doing those things. They're out there serving and loving and giving and living this life to the fullest. I mean, it's these hard things that we deal with, right? That's what brings us to this point where like, okay, it was really freaking hard, but here I am today, and I can give it all. I can give it all to others, and it's so good. So what I really hope is that anybody who watches the show, you're getting good practical steps, whether it's in resilience, whether it's in health and wellness, whether it's in relationships, right? That gives you the true capacity to fully taste life. So
I
let's
love
do
it.
this. I want to jump in and talk a little bit about you, where you got started, how you got started. What was it that started this, like back a long time ago, back in the early days, right? Your no options mindset, because I know it didn't start immediately, right? You have a whole story that brought you to this point.
I do, and yeah, I mean, and by the way, I love what you're. Thank you for this podcast because I think people do need to. I think it's always good to reassure people and kind of like you said, let's flip health on the other
Yeah.
side of it, right? So, but yeah, my story goes back. Speaking of health, right? I mean, um, I grew up down in Southeast Texas. I mean, and it was when I say, kind of a blue collar. My dad worked for Chevron oil, but I grew up with parents, amazing parents, and but my dad was one of those guys, dust off, boy, you'll be all right. Nobody wants to hear your problems, kind of thing,
Right.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
and so now I got juvenile diabetes when I was 8. And back then, I'm going to age myself a little bit, but this was in the 70s.
Mhm.
In the 70s, technology was not there, right? So we didn't have the technology of, I mean, I laugh. In fact, I was speaking the other day at a group and I was telling them I used to test my blood sugars with a urine sample and put a stick in it, and it would give you a range between this and this. Whereas now I can look on my phone right
Yeah.
now at the minute, I know exactly
Yeah.
where it's at. So
Yeah.
just the technology's come so far. So, and I
Mhm.
say all that to say it was just challenging back then to control diabetes. So out of control diabetes when I was 8. By the time I was 10, I had this brittle diabetes and it was just going all over the place. And so but my parents were always one of those, hey, I didn't treat me any difference. I still played sports. I was still hunting fish and I went skiing. I grew up in the water and I wasn't treated any differently. At the age of 10, though, it had gotten just where it was so tough. They brought me over to Texas Children's there in Houston, where they were doing some testing and they found there was a doctor there putting insulin inside a chemotherapy machine that would give you insulin throughout the day versus shots.
Mhm.
And he was on this team that was doing this around the country. And sure enough, that's what we know now today as the insulin pump.
Mhm.
But I was put on that in the 70s.
Mhm.
And so I was in Texas Children's Hospital going through this, and I would stay months at a time because it was all research, right? And so I had to push through. I had to get through that, and I got through different pumps, and I went through high school. But my parents never wanted me to be any different. I played sports. I continued to just be a boy, doing all those things. And then I got to college, and as we know, our college lifestyles change, our sleeping habits, our eating habits, our activity act changes.
Eating.
I
Yeah.
mean, it just changes, right? And so
Mhm.
controlling diabetes was hard. It was really
Yeah.
hard. And I was going through these different pumps. Well, at the age of 30, and I'm going to fast forward real quick, age of 30, I'm in my career and all this. And all of a sudden I go in because I'm extremely tired. I just can't, for some reason I couldn't go. So I'll go to the doctor and he says, did some tests. They come back and I said, Ty, your kidneys are failing. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, what? Hold on, what does that mean? He said, so they did some stuff. Next day I come back, they're like, hey, here's the deal. Your kidneys are failing, but if we just do a kidney transplant, you have such brittle diabetes that it's just going to continue to turn up these kidneys.
Mhm.
Said, but he said, here's the deal. There's a doctor in Baltimore, Maryland that's doing a dual transplant, and they do a kidney and a pancreas at the same time. And he said, you may be a candidate for it. And again, research, kind of that early part of diabetes as the insulin pump. And now, again, I feel like God has kind of put me in a place to just be kind of a guinea pig, right? I mean, let me go try these things out for everybody.
Just what you
Uh,
wanted to be,
that's
right?
right. That's right. So I go out there, and sure enough, I'm a candidate. So, and I'm sorry, the story gets a little long winded, but I want to
Okay.
get through it.
Yeah.
But I get out there, I do all the tests. Sure enough, I'm a candidate. My mother, who was 60 at the time, comes to me. She says, Ty, God gave me 2 kidneys, and one of these is yours,
Mm.
if willing. She said, I feel like that's my role. And I said, yes, ma'am. And so we tested my mother, and sure enough, my mom was a perfect match, right? So I was super excited about that. But as we know, I can get a living kidney at the time, but I couldn't get a pancreas. So I had to get put on a waiting list. So I go through this waiting, I mean, months and months and months, about 7 months actually of waiting. And I did not want to go on dialysis because I was trying not to do that because I said, if I do, it's a higher form of rejection. So I was fighting it. Well, about a week or two before I'm about into it, about 2 weeks before I get the call, I go to the doctor and I tell him I just can't go anymore. I need to get the dialysis. So they put the stent in on a Thursday. Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday. I went and watched the game with some friends, um, and it was absolutely a great event. I got to hang out with my buddies. I got home that night, but at midnight, my phone rings, and it was Baltimore. And I'm like,
Mm.
immediately my heart started pumping because here was the deal, Dickie. I had been told. I always lie. I tell people, look, I was born in Southeast Texas, and And they told me there had been 4 people that had the surgery and 2 of them didn't work. So I knew my odds were pretty
Oh,
50-50.
man.
So I left. When I got that call that night, I was extremely nervous. But here was one, and part of the reason. I had a 6-year-old daughter at this
Hmm.
point in time. And I knew though, I didn't want to live a life and couldn't take care of her being on dialysis.
Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to, I needed to do something to go for, I want to go for it, right? Because I thought if I want to be there for her, I've got to do something. I really didn't have an option, or I knew dialysis was not going to be the way. So I went for the surgery. Anyway, I take off. My mother, we get my mom, we all fly out to Baltimore. It's like the movies. You just rush to get there. Everybody gets to the hospital, then we wait. Well, anyway, 16 hours later, I get in this thing. We got my mom in one room, me in the middle, and then the organ in another. And there teams of doctors are working on all 3 of us. 16 hours later, I get through this surgery, and it was, I mean, I wake up and my mother in recovery, my mother's sitting in a wheelchair beside me, which was amazing because I was really worried about her getting through it.
Yeah.
But she was good. She was sitting there. She had done really well through that. So they told me, said, Ty, the recovery is about a year. And so I will tell you this, that was the hardest year because when I come out, I was taking 65 pills a day.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, probably 20 of them were these anti-rejection meds,
Mm.
but all the other ones were the side effects that the anti-rejection meds could cause. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so, I mean, my body's full of meds. My body's got 2 new organs in it, so it's naturally fighting. So, I mean, I just felt horrible. And so they were trying to regulate this over time. And I mean, I stayed in Baltimore for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Um, and I would do tests every day. They just do blood work and chest being. Anyway, so I get through it and I'd get home and I get in, but it was about a year. When that, and really about that 1 year mark, things just kind of, the sky opened up. In fact, somebody had interviewed me and they said, what would you say the difference was before and now? And I
Mm.
said, and
Good
I think
question.
this was the best words probably I ever described it was life. I now have life in full color where I was looking at it in black and white.
Hmm.
And that's really the best way to describe it because I didn't realize how bad I felt.
Yeah.
But the kidney and the pancreas. So I didn't have diabetes anymore with the pancreas. So that's what was really cool, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so and organs don't last forever, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So for 12 years, I didn't have diabetes. My pancreas lasted for 12 years.
Mm.
And my mother's beautiful kidney lasted for 20 years. And so now I want to say, because of that, and this is where it gets always tough for me because I mean that was a big to get through that was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of these things are some amazing things. I was able to get married. I was able to adopt my second daughter. I was able to open our business because someone on the other side cared, right? I mean, I received somebody's pancreas, but what I always try to tell people, whatever we're dealing with from whatever today, and we all have adversity. Everybody has a story, and we're all dealing with something. In fact, I had coffee this morning with a gentleman, who I thought, man, I thought this guy's world's perfect, but when you really talk to him, he's going through things just like everybody else, right? So
Yeah.
we all are dealing with something, but I always try to encourage people, whatever we're going through, it's worth the climb.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I got to open these businesses. So got through all that. But 20 years later, my kidneys failed again. And so now I've got this company I've got 45 plus employees. My daughter, my adopted daughter now, she's 10. My oldest daughter's got off in her career. So there's a lot going on. And all of a sudden they put me on dialysis.
Mm.
And so I'm like, I'd go, and again, this goes back to my dad back in Southeast Texas. Boy, you'll be all right. Nobody wants to hear your problems. So I was kind of quiet about it. I tried to keep it behind the scenes. I would go to dialysis 3 days a week from 4:30 to 9, and then go to the office like nothing happened because I was the face. I'm the face of the company. I had to be there, blah blah. So I would kind of just keep pushing. So I didn't really have in my mind, I didn't have an option. I could hear my dad saying nobody wanted to hear my problems. I had to push through. So I was doing that. And my wife says, one weekend, she says, we're going to go down to the family, her family reunion. It's an extended family, and we're there. And she says, Ty, would you please share your story with them? They want to hear. And I said,
Mhm.
I will. If they want to hear my problems, I'll be glad to share it. I mean, and so I tell them the story. And on the way home that night, I'm driving home and I'm getting texts, and it was like, hey, thanks for sharing, because now we sign up to be organ donors, or that encouraged me to go push through, right? Or whatever I was going through.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why I do these interviews, and that's why I go talk and do my speeches. And because, you know, if we can simply tell our story and help other people, why would we do
Yeah.
it? So
Agreed.
that's what I'm doing. But so I'm in dialysis. I'm going through this every day. My sister matches me perfectly. And I'm like, we're so excited. My sister, we're going to get this. And so right at the end, they come back and say, my sister's kidneys aren't going to work.
Oh no.
And it was devastating. It was devastating because I didn't know what we were going to do. Um, and I thought, and I couldn't go through this. Dialysis is hard. I always say, if you know somebody on dialysis, say a prayer,
Mm.
because that dialysis, and I say a prayer every time I pass a dialysis center,
Mm.
because there's a lot of hopeless things happening in those places.
Mm.
But I will tell you, all of a sudden, my wife says, Ty, I cannot watch you go through this anymore. And she says, I want to, and she told me, she said, I'm not your blood type, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to donate my kidney. And in return, somebody else that matches you comes back and receives your,
Yeah.
so you can get off this dialysis.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so thankful and just excited that she was willing to do that. And she goes in for testing. She calls me and she's crying, Nikki. And I'm like, I'm thinking the worst. I'm like, what happened? What's car? What happened? And she says, Ty, I don't know what happened. She says, but I match you perfectly.
What?
Yeah, yeah. So let me tell you, 6 weeks later, on New Year's Eve of 2019, I received my wife's kidney, and let me tell you, it's been the best 6 years of my life.
Mm.
And so again, on the other side of some of these challenges are some amazing things. God has a plan, and I just tell you guys, it's quit trying to fight it, because he's got a plan and he's got his will. So, but it's been an amazing run, and I just want to encourage people through that, because health or marriage or business or relationships, whatever you're going through, it's worth fighting through and pushing through. Don't let those things take you down, because and it's just been an amazing ride though, Nick. I'm sorry it took so long to get there, but
No.
I wanted to I got to get to that last punch because it's such an amazing impact. But I'll tell you, here's one of the coolest things. That 6-year-old daughter that I left that night, not knowing what was going on, and last December, and Jackson, we went up to Wyoming, and I got to walk her down the aisle to get married.
Oh, yay.
So
Oh,
I'm just telling you guys, it's amazing. And and I could never see that far out, because I didn't think I would ever get there because of my health. I didn't let myself
yeah.
dream that far out.
Yeah.
So your health, it's like you said, if we can get on the other side of health,
Mhm.
where your mind is taking care of your health. I mean, health is going to happen, God's plan, but it's also good to get out in front of it, such as what you talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. So you've talked about God several times. I talk about him probably not as often as I should, but I know he's
None of
always
us
here.
do, right? None of us
Yeah.
do.
But he is a big part of this show. He's a big part of, our lives. And I think that I'm curious, because something just came to me. I'm gonna bring all of this together, right? So
Yeah.
I have someone who I know who we were having a discussion 2 weeks ago. And he's in a really difficult spot health-wise. And I asked him, I was like, because he has grown up a Christian, he's had a solid faith. And he said, I asked him, I said, are you praying? Are you talking to God about this stuff? Are you letting him talk to you? And he goes, you know what? I'm really mad at God right now. I was like, okay. It's like, I think that that's okay. And something tells me that God can probably handle it. So just keep talking to him. And so the reason I say that is because I know it's not always easy, but I'm curious for your situation. How was your faith throughout all of this? Did it change? Did it grow? Did you have your times when you were super mad at God? Did you yell? Did you tell me about that, if you don't
You
mind?
know, I mean, I grew up in a Christian home with my mother, especially my mom. My dad was usually that on Sundays is when he was working on the tractor, and that, that was his typical back home. But my mother had us in the church pretty much every Sunday night, and Wednesday night. Now was I living the faithful life? No, I was not. As a and I'll tell you, my faith got so much stronger during this time, because I hit that end of, I was at the end of the road. I didn't know. I mean, sometimes that's what it takes for us to get there. But when I eventually threw my arms up and said, "It's yours, help me,"
Yeah.
is when I realized, that's when it really kind of just poured into me that, you know, Ty, this is not, you're not in control.
Hmm.
You are not in control. Be obedient, but you're not. This is not you're not driving this ship. So,
Yeah.
but I did. I mean, there are times where you go, why me?
Hmm.
Why am I? Seriously, did I have to? I mean, do I have to go through this again, or why is it me? I start trying to throw that victim card out sometimes, but I just you gotta stay track and know. And I had good friends and good parents. And I'll tell you, there's some ministers that were at some of these hospitals that really would help talk me through some of that, because I mean, we all question sometimes.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think that's when I say you can't do it alone.
Yep.
For one, you got to have God, but two, you got to have some good friends, some good family to help encourage you through those times.
You got to have your team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot. And of course, a lot of times it's for me, for when I'm talking with my clients or patients, it's you got to have your team, your healthcare team, people who you trust, right? But
Right.
you've got to have um your business team, you've got to have your family team, you've got to, sometimes it's all of it, right?
Right.
The thing that I first thing that I did with my business is like I brought on a bookkeeper because I'm terrible with numbers. So you've got to have your people who want to come, who are
That's
there
right.
to support you and help you, and that are your rock, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's so true.
Because we're going to have challenges. I mean, it don't matter
Yeah.
what we're in, and that's when you got, like I said, you got to lean on some people.
Yeah. I think what I love about this too is it's so interesting when our perspectives change, because you went from nobody wants to hear about my problems to it's not about me, it's not about my problems, it's about our potential, it's about our capacity, it's about what it is that we have the ability to move through that helps us to grow. Totally different way of looking at
Mhm.
your problems,
Right.
right? I think that's
Yeah, it is. It really is.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and I do think too that it's our mind is so powerful, Nikki, and
Hmm.
and and early on that was something I did not recognize as much. Right. I mean, our
Hmm.
mind, and I tell everybody, God has given us all this tool, and that's our mind. And
Hmm.
sometimes, I mean, we go to the gym and we try to work out and we try to do things, but or what are we doing with our mind? Our mind is a muscle. It's just
Yeah.
like, and we want it to grow. We want it to, we got to be stronger than this. And I tell people all the time, it's like going to the gym and coming one time and going, I don't see any results. It's your mind is
Right.
the same way. We've got to continue to work on our minds, thinking positive,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
working on looking at things different, find the positives versus the negatives, find the opportunities, not that, find a way we can versus a way we can't. So it's just the way we start to think. And I'll tell
Mhm.
you, that was a big deal for me. I mean, my mother was always one that says, okay, you just told me the three things you didn't like about it, but find two, I want three things you like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I think that helps in a lot of ways is we got to work on our mind. Look in the mirror and say, you're the one that's got to make the decision.
Hmm.
We've got to be the one. If we're determined and we've got our mind is powerful and it's something I think we underutilize a lot.
Yeah. Agreed. That's why I like, and I'm not the best at it. pretty good at it, but I like the whole the gratitude, right? I start the show with gratitude because it's a mindset shift. I mean, to me, it
Yeah.
starts the show off well. I actually had I interviewed a guy back, I don't know, year and a half ago, and one of the things that he did is he prayed before the show. I was like, thank you for that. I should probably
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was really, really great. And another thing, I was watching, you know who Russell Brand is?
I know the name. I do know
Yeah,
the name.
yeah.
What?
So I don't know how to describe him. He's kind of political, but he's more of a comedian. He's from the UK. He's got this big personality, right? And he's really funny, but he's incredibly intellectual, right? And he just really deep. But he has recently become a Christian. And so I was watching one of his shows. We were traveling from Kansas, right? And so we're all the podcasts and the shows, but we were watching him. I just fell in love with him all over again. But what he did at the end of his show is he sat there and he prayed, and it was this really beautiful prayer. I was like, okay, I'm learning from other people the things that I
Yeah.
really should do.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Anyway, a
I
little
love
bit
this.
off topic, but
That's all right. I love it. I love it.
so let's talk about no options,
Okay.
because this has now become, kind of who you are, right? And for me, it's this, fully taste life, right? And so yours is, it's the no options. I want to know, because I would think that, which I don't believe this, but there, some might say feels like it's a little restrictive. It feels like it's a little confining. It feels like, if, what does it mean to have no options? That sounds kind of scary. So let's
Yeah.
talk about where that comes from and what that means.
Well, and the no, because people used to ask me, how'd you get through this? I mean, how did you get through all this stuff? And
Yeah.
so I started diving into this, and I started, and I was like, pieces this, pieces that. And I started looking at it. And I really, when I opened my businesses and when I did that, I mean, there were some things we took a lot of risk. I took some, I left corporate to go just do my own thing and all these different steps, right? Um, and I wrote down some things, and the word positive thinking is such an overused term to me, and it's a very
Yeah.
just broad. And when people are in the ditches, the worst thing you can say is be positive. Think,
Right.
because what does that mean?
Mhm.
Nobody like. I mean, that's such a broad statement.
Mhm.
And I was told that several times through when I was feeling down and out or sick and didn't think I was going to get through it. I mean, to the point where, you know, like there were times they gave me meds that says, we hope this works kind of thing, and I'm
Oh.
like, so and they'd say, just be positive. Think about, I'm like, what does that mean?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
anyway, I boiled it down because again, I need small steps. I think the small steps equal bigger results, in my opinion, over time. So I wrote down three simple steps that I do. And I'll just kind of brief them real quick. But when I run into adversity or when I look at things in business and life and whatever, there's three steps. Number one is I look at it and say, am I going to grow or die in this situation? Number one, am I going to grow or die? That's what we do. And when I say that, and I don't mean death I mean death by like, am I going to let that dream go? Am I going to let that relationship go? Am I going to let what are we going to let that die? Or really? Because I love kind of old school again. You're either growing or you die. There's not. You're getting better or you're not. That's kind of where I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
And so I always say, look at it, grow or die. Is I going to get better or not? Number two, or hope or despair. And are we going to look? Am I going to look at this? Find the positive, like my mom find. Now, tell me the three positives thing, or am I going to be that victim card? Right? Why did I have diabetes? Why do I had three transplants? And why do I do? Why? We can do that all day long. Every one of us can find that. So find hope. Don't look at despair. Right? And then the last, when people laugh at me about this a little bit because it's humor or drama.
That's my favorite.
I mean, sometimes we just have to find a little bit of laughter
Mhm.
what we're going through,
Mhm.
And again, what helps me through this is what we talked about earlier. I laugh. It's kind of humor. God's got a sense of humor.
Mhm.
Sometimes I even just laugh at some of the stuff sometimes that's going through, but you've got to find something in your life or the situation, and just somebody you got to sit back and go, wow, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
and come up with some kind of laughter in it, because and we kind of I kind of make fun of myself sometimes just to laugh, like, holy cow, I'm probably got more I got more kidneys than anybody in this room right now. I mean, it's just um but sometimes you gotta laugh at what you've been through or going through, because it helps you. Laughter is that. And so let me repeat: grow or die is what we do, hope or despair is how we think, and humor or drama is how we talk. And when I say talk, I don't mean to each other. It's what we're telling ourselves.
Oh, it's huge, huge.
We can so much just destroy our own
Yeah,
self by what we're telling ourselves.
yeah, yeah. And we do it all
So
the time. Hmm.
before we even get started, we've already beat ourselves up, right?
Yeah,
And we haven't said a word to anybody, but we are just inside just so that humor and drama, you cannot let yourself talk to yourself in that way, right? You got to find some funny, make fun, do fun, but what we do, what we think, and how we talk, and when you do those three small steps, it creates a positive thinking mindset, which is that whole big umbrella.
yeah.
And
So,
so I dive
yeah,
into those three really deep, and
yeah.
kind of, those are three things that I talk on or coach on, and try to help people through those three steps. But I mean, even in business, in your personal life, those are three steps that have been really helpful for me.
Very good. So we've got the three steps. Would you be able to give, so anybody who's maybe writing this down, they're like, okay, I got this three steps. Is there, and I know you said you dive deep, so I hope this is a good question, because
Yeah, that's all right.
but so do you have ways that you could give people to say, okay, these are the three steps, this is a way to get started in each, to start to continue to build, you know, the resilience, the positive mindset, the stop talking negatively to yourself kind of stuff, because I know that so well. My mom did that, when she was here, so bad, and so I did that, and so it's a daily practice for me to not do that. And when I do, I'm like, that's not true. Don't say that about yourself, right? So it's still there and it still happens, but I have to. It's almost like I'm apologizing to myself, you know.
Well, I'm really big, and I've noticed what's helped me through that. And I'll tell you some small steps. Is right here, even in my office. I mean, I've got I write down when I find a positive quote that I need, that I know is good for me, right?
Mhm.
I have them in my room. I have them in my office here. I have them. I mean, in my vehicle. I remind myself all the time. So and it's little things. I mean, in fact, I want to read one. I mean, I'm going to see which one this is right here, but I put this up. It says it's a picture I drew of a cup of coffee, right? And it says, "Good morning. Get your mindset right. Be thankful. Be positive, and get it done." And it's just, I mean, it was something it's little things. And here's another one. I mean, this is something I drew, and I doodle while I'm talking. So this one says, "You don't need another plan. You need to get started and take the first step." I
Mm.
mean, it's little, and I was something that I was struggling with, but it's little notes that I do, and it sounds silly, but it's things that I do to get started.
Yeah.
Remind yourself every morning of something that you battle with.
Hmm.
Get started on that first step, small step every day, right?
Yeah.
So do some little things that get us directed there. And I always also, and I'm gonna think about who you're surrounding yourself with.
Oh, huge. Yeah.
Um, I have caught myself early on when I was going through this that I was trying to be a positive mind. I was trying to get through some of this, but I was, when I would come home, there was a group of people and friends that were extremely negative, and I knew I had to do something there.
Hmm.
And so to evaluate who you're around, because sometimes you got to get yourself out of that
Hmm.
to get on the right track. And I'm not saying get rid of your friends. I would say evaluate who you're around, because I think that makes a big difference, right?
Hmm.
Or who you're spending your time with,
Right.
because those are some little things that can help you get in the mindset. Now, I will say there's some great books. Books were and I'm talking about some things that helped me through it. And I wish I had written down some books that I had early written, that I read, but I found things that were positive practices versus letting myself go down that negative trail. Again, that's why these notes are here. That's why I grab them and read them all the time to myself. In fact, I was reading one this morning and just some notes that I wrote. So find ways that work for you to keep bringing up the positive thoughts, the things that you're dealing with. If it's a relationship, be thinking of that. Write down some things that you need to do, not fall back into that trail right when you get up in the morning. Find. And then the other thing is, I'll tell you, take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, self-care is not selfish. So we gotta find time for ourselves. And that's something that I always, in the morning, start your day. I go out and meditate in the morning for a little bit, just get my day started. I think about, not only do I write them down, my goals anymore, I visualize my goals. And I'm not talking about, do I want to live in this home? And I'm talking about today. I mean, I visualized this interview. I visualized what I want this day. How do I want it to go? What do I see? And it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing what you will see, the difference in your goals when you visualize.
The thing that I get from most people talking about meditation is, I can't shut my mind off. I can't meditate. I can't do it. And I have a good friend of mine, and she's so funny because I'll tell her, just go meditate. She's like, I can't just go meditate. I can't do it. So there's for people who don't want to meditate, it's a hard stop. And I find it so fascinating because people people think that your mind is supposed to shut off when you meditate. And I think that meditation can be, it's a little bit different for different people. Mm-hmm. For me, it's, I do my prayer time in the morning. That's when whether I'm outside or in my office or wherever I am, I do my little Bible study, my prayer time. I have a cool book called The 100 Most Asked Questions About God in the Bible that a friend of mine gave me. So I've been reading that every morning.
That's cool.
Point is, sorry, that in the afternoon, especially here in the spring, summer, fall time when it's nice and warm, I go outside and I lay in the sun. And anybody who watches this show knows this because I talk about it all the time, because I think any of us who want to try to meditate, you find the place that's comfortable for you and the place that gives you, that lifts you up, but allows you to relax at the same time. People think that you've got to sit with your, legs crossed and your fingers and your little thing, right? I mean, it's just not the case. And so for me, what I found is it's laying in the sun. To me, the sun, the warmth of the sun it's just, I feel God's love. I feel it's like God's big hug, right? And so that's my time where I'm able to sit. My mind doesn't stop working, right? I like the visualization of the day instead of, what's, a year, 5 years, 10 years from now. I think that's great. But it's the time that I try to be quiet. And what is he wanting to say to me? And how can I listen to, that's my prayer, is what is it you want me to do? And help me to hear what it is that you want me to do. Anyway, so my point to that is, maybe it's the question for you. What is it that got you to this place where meditation became a comfortable place? Because probably when you started, you were like, I can't shut my mind off. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. No, and you're exactly right. I mean, you got me, you nailed me. I'm all over the place, right? I mean, with especially work, I mean, you got all these things coming, you wake up to, all these texts and with all of my employees, who's sick and who's not, I'm getting all that. And but one of the things, what I did learn is don't pick up your phone.
Yeah. My husband's been doing that. I love it. So smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't pick up your phone, because it immediately, I think when I grab my phone, I'm now mentally in that state of, so stay away from your phone. That was, and this is helpful for me. I'm just saying some things that help me. Yeah. But I mean, and the other thing is you're right. I mean, I don't sit cross-legged, and sit outside, and I'm not sure I could get up if I did. So I gotta be right. But at first, what I would do is I would walk out. We have a pool, and I would walk out, kind of find a place, sit by the pool, um, and just the by the little waterfall there or whatever, and I would just sit down and kind of enjoy that. And but I would get a minute or two, and then I'd go walk somewhere else because I couldn't sit long enough.
Mhm.
I'm one of these that can't stay still. So and that's how I would do it. I'd walk around and stop a little bit, and I'd see something, and then I would stop for a little bit. I mean, like you said, everybody has a different way. Some people that I talked to said they go for a walk around, the neighborhood, and that's their mental, that's what gets them going in
Yeah.
the morning. So like you said, I think everybody has their own way, but it's definitely not easy just to shut it down. But you got to try different things that work. But that's what worked for me. And eventually now, I mean, I like a cup of coffee and I go sit outside.
It's great. It's such a, just being outside, being in the sun, being in the rising sun, right? Besides the physical effects that it has with, the
Yeah,
circadian rhythm and all of these beautiful things.
right.
Um, Another thing that I try to get people to do is when you're outside, go walk in the grass, right? With your shoes off, right?
That's what
Let's
I've heard.
connect,
Yeah. Yes.
connect to the earth. Let's do some grounding, right? It's a game changer for the energetics of the body. Amazing,
Yeah.
God
I just
created.
had a gentleman. I had
Mhm.
just had a gentleman tell me that. He's like, Todd, take your shoes off. And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? That makes,
Uh-huh.
and it's very interesting that,
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. So I want to jump into kind of the health discussion a little bit because
Sure.
I'm curious with all of these changes and new parts, right? Other people's parts, which is just super cool that we can do that. I mean, what a blessing.
Yeah.
Um, but we all have a relationship with our body. Has it changed over time? Has your relationship changed? Has your view of health changed over time? What does that look like?
It's changed a lot,
Mhm.
and first, I'll tell you a very interesting thing. When you get kidneys, I did not know this, but until I obviously experienced it, they don't remove any of my kidneys.
They
I keep
leave
getting them.
it.
So I've got
Yeah.
all these kidneys. I tell people all the time, I got all kind of kidneys. I got a whole bucket of kidneys.
It's
Um,
crazy to me that they just leave it. Do
they
you
leave
know
them.
why?
They said there's enzymes that still produce, because they will eventually just shrink down.
Okay.
But the enzymes, there's still some enzymes that are produced from those
Okay.
older kidneys for a while. So,
Cool.
um, but yeah, so that was very interesting. But yes, my health from my first point was yes, my health has I absolutely 100% look at health in a different way.
Hmm.
I'm like, I feel like God has kept me here for a reason. And I really think about this though. Somebody gave their organs to me, and I feel like I've got to do the right thing, right? I mean, somebody gave me a second chance. So I really do look at health as like it's my responsibility versus before you know, I was one of those guys with my ears pinned back and ready to do whatever everybody else want to do and let's go and I'll be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
Step back, watch this, I'll try it, kind of thing. But now I mean, I am just very appreciative of the sacrifice somebody has given me.
Hmm.
And I feel liable to make sure that I'm doing the best I can. And that's really, again, that's why I go on these. I'm from Southeast Texas. I'm not supposed to be talking to people and public speaking, but you know what? Again, it wasn't my plan, and this is where I'm at. And so I mean, just what it's just what happens. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just very, 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 very thankful is what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. What do you mind? If I ask you what you do besides your speaking? Because I know you're an entrepreneur. What is
I do.
your,
Yeah. So I was a Disney guy. I worked at Disney early on. Um, out of college, I did an intern and then ended up staying at Disney, and I was there for a, a while, and then and I was in their marketing and the design group, and so I was the grunt that would go out to the parks before they opened and make sure graphics were up and not falling down, and anyway, it's fun. I had a lot of fun. Um, but
good?
but when I came back years later, I was in the corporate world for a while, and all this, and then I decided to open. I wanted to open my own business, and so I bought a sign company and a printing company. But what I wanted, my vision was in the athletic space. I love sports, so what I did is I opened up a company. In fact, there's a sign in my over here, Waterboy Graphics. Um, I started a company called Waterboy Graphics, and what it is we do branding inside of athletic stadiums around the country. So I started this company, and we take designs and then we wrap locker rooms and stadiums and I mean, if you've ever watched a college football game, you've probably seen my work. I mean, we do
Okay.
a lot of colleges and a lot high schools now down here in Texas and I mean all over. We do work in Colorado. It's crazy where this thing took off, but so that's what we do. We design, produce, and install graphics for the Under Armours of the world, the Nikes, and all that stuff.
Awesome. So
Yeah,
you kind of have two jobs. So you got your Waterboard Graphics, and then you're doing the speaking on your, not your story,
yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yes. My honestly, Nikki, where my passion is. I think after this last go around with the pancreas and all that, my passion is in helping people. I feel like I'm at that point now where it's time. God's given me so many gifts. It's time for me to start trying to give back, and that's why like I said, I love to speak, and I love to, So if there's ever anybody that I can encourage, and I tell people on my website, that number on there is my cell phone. Call me. You got questions? Call me. I just want to help people, going through stuff, or if I can come talk to their company and help them, from a business culture standpoint, from a growth standpoint, stuff that I've been through that I can help. I'm just an open book. That's kind of where my passion is now.
Amazing. Very cool. So what keeps you grounded?
My kids, I mean, I love them to death. My two daughters, um, they're such age difference. I mean, I still got one that'll be a junior in high school this year. That my adopted daughter, who is just an amazing part of our family, and she's an athlete and she's soccer, so we go all over the country playing soccer,
Wow.
and then my oldest just got married, as I said, and starting a new family, and so that's where, and my wife, who's just an amazing person, as I've talked about. But it's just that's my family is what keeps me grounded.
Very cool. Let's see. So is there any advice? And I think about this. I have a family member who is in the middle of kidney transplant. So you've been so deep into it. Is there advice that you would give to people who are on a transplant list or about to, or anything that they would know that you have experienced that maybe, I don't know, they're not told or they don't realize? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, kidney transplants. One of the things about those is there's medical technology is coming so far, right? And there are some amazing doctors, and I know they get a lot of, they get beat up a lot on different things, but they are doing some amazing things in there. And the kidney transplants, man, are so successful now. I mean, I told somebody today it's kind of like going to get tonsils out. I mean, it's just it's a process that's going. But I always say, I mean, don't let all the media, social media, because I mean, I did the wrong thing and I Googled, you know, transplants. Well, I don't know if it was Google back then, whatever it was. I looked up something and I saw a video of something that ruined me because it was just a brutal video. And I always say, don't get under that social media stuff because there's a lot of bad stuff out there. You've got to be prepared in your mind and find the right friend group, support group, the team, build your team, build your right team, and have faith. What I say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's I don't know. It's a piece the most important piece that I feel like is really missing in a lot, not just in that space, but in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I didn't, I say that it's easy to sit back and say, because I'm not here to tell you everybody I did it perfect, because I didn't. I'm, I was bad. But faith, looking back on it, believe, it's not your plan, right? We already talked about that.
Mhm.
Um, but just know you be obedient to what you need to be doing,
Mhm.
and everything's gonna be fine. But you've got to get your team, get your support team, find the people we talked about, the surroundings of you, make sure that's you got the right support team, and you can get through anything.
Yeah. Awesome. So I want to go back to your speaking real quick, because I
Mhm.
know that that's a big part of what you're wanting to do, what you're doing.
Right.
Tell me how long you've been speaking, and tell me, like, are there certain groups you're speaking to? Or are you just getting out there and just going to anybody and everybody? What's exciting for you?
Well, and I've only been doing it now for a couple years, about 2 years.
Okay.
Well, maybe a little bit longer, but I was just Texas Oregon Sharing Alliance is where I first went, and
Oh.
they would send me around everywhere just to tell my story.
Mm-hmm.
But for the last 2 years, I kind of opened it up to whoever, right? Just if I can help businesses, if I can, I mean, my wife laughs at me. If I get on the elevator long enough with somebody, I'm going to tell them about organ donation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, or I'm going to try to encourage them or whatever so I just love helping people. So, I mean, churches, I mean, in these places I've talked, Texas, the governor's office has had me go to the small business summits, in Texas, and I talked to small business owners. I spoke Tuesday of this week at a conference. It's called Eye Care Conference down in Victoria, Texas,
Hmm.
where it's people that was first responders and ministers, and I was able to speak at that. And but I go wherever they need me, and
Yeah.
just because, one, I want to encourage people, and two, if it's business related, I want to encourage them through that as well, or their personal life. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm Nikki. Like I said, I'll go wherever they need me to go at any time. So I love it. I love people, and I want to help people.
Awesome. And so when you're working or speaking with businesses, are you speaking on, obviously the donor part comes in. Are you speaking on the leadership and because you
Yeah.
are the leader of your business, right? So you're also
And
speaking on.
absolutely. I mean, I love the leadership side when I go to the businesses. I mean, I talk to the sales conference, right, for sales
Mhm.
divisions, because that's what our company does. But leadership, a lot of different leadership, depending on, I find their roles and how I can help them dive into their company through leadership, through running in adversity, because we're, in sales and in companies, we're going to run into adversity just like we do in life.
Yeah.
And so I encourage them through the roles that we run into and the things that we face, how to push through in a sales division, in a company, in a small business.
Mhm.
And so I take some of the adversity and the no options approach and bring it into the business or whatever world it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's good. I mean, I think whether you're in the business as an employee or the employer, the entrepreneur, I mean, that's me. And I only have contractors that work with me. But it's still, I mean, we all need help. We all need the guidance. We all need perspective. We all need um all of it, because there's so much and so many hats to wear. And you're like, how do you get it all done? And how do you take time for yourself?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be my next question for you, actually, as I'm just kind of, talking through this. But
Yeah.
what are you doing and how do you take time for yourself when you are continuing to build this business that you have, that's a great successful business that you have, but you're also now trying to get out in the world and you're doing more to serve others. But one of the things you said earlier is we have to take time for ourselves. So besides your meditation, how are you able, and what are you doing to do for downtime?
Well, I'll tell you what, time, that's one of the things I've had to really learn is time management, right?
Yeah.
And when I say time management, you've got to be intentional for your time. I'm pretty selfish nowadays. It used to be I would let, meetings go at night, or I would go do this in the evenings because I had time, and hey, I'll meet you for coffee at 6 in the morning or whatever. I mean, but I've gotten where now I've got I'm pretty selfish with my personal time.
Yeah.
I love, and I mean, I make sure I'm at my daughter's soccer practice 3 days a week.
Wow.
That's time I know that I won't have
Mm-hmm.
in 2 years when she's done with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very selfish of those things. But time, you've got to find, just like we put on our calendars. I mean, I put in my phone where I got to be at 11 and 12. You block that family time.
Mm-hmm.
Be protective. You got to be selfish of that time. And so I do now. I block family time. I mean, I don't, because I have things that they can put on my, I've got where they can fill up my podcast and have people join it, and I block those times because, again, if we don't intentionally make time, it gets filled with all these other busy things that we can find.
Yeah, it does. I've done that mostly on the weekends, right? I keep my weeks are just sort of crazy. My husband and I are both entrepreneurs, so it's always a little bit nutty here.
Yeah.
But no kids, right? We've got our dogs, but the weekends are, in my mind, that's my time. Every now and then, I might take a weekend to work if there's stuff I got to catch up on or whatever,
Sure.
but it really is that protected time for me because this is our happy space, right? We've got our backyard and we play with the dogs and we work in the garden and we hang out with each other or whatever it is that we're going to do. But I really try to keep that time
Yeah.
on the weekends for us.
I think you do, and I think people need to. I think that's one of the first things that we give up is our time, and I think we got to value our time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, we are about at the end of our time.
Speaking of time, right?
Crazy. Yep, yep. Is there anything that you want to hit on that maybe we haven't hit on that is important to you?
I just want to say this. I want to say, life is short.
Yeah.
Life is short, right? And the world we live in right now is hard. And so my dad was an amazing man, and he told me to dust off and be okay. But I'm going to tell you guys, we need to share our stories,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need to share our stories. We need to put our arms around each other and try to help each other instead of trying to beat each other up.
Mm-hmm.
We beat each other down, verbally. It's so easy now, so on social media, just to put all these ugly words and mean words. And I just, I challenge people to let's try to flip that. Let's find the positive
Mm-hmm.
in people instead of finding the negative in people, because I think we just gotta. The world's dirty enough. We don't need to add to that. So
Right.
I hope, and I hope encouraging people, leave a positive note for somebody.
I love that. Yeah.
Go find something positive in somebody, and I challenge you, because that's a domino effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you leave a positive note, maybe they leave it for somebody else. It's amazing what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So start that chain in your family or at your workplace, and try to make a little difference within our world.
I love that. My sweet mom, which I don't know that anybody knew this. I mean, we would see the little notes around from her. She would have Bible verses around. But when she passed, gosh, three years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, crazy. But my dad would find her notes all over the place, whether he opened her Bible or in this random place that he didn't know, or in her desk, or she was always writing notes, whether it was to herself or whether it was her thoughts and prayers for her husband and her kids. It's amazing. I just think it's the coolest thing. And so you're making it's when you write these notes, it is that thing that has the potential of being passed on or making a difference for somebody else, or and you don't even mean to, because you're writing it for you, right? You've got it there and it's in front of you. But what's going to happen today, tomorrow, when your time here is done, those notes go on, right? I just think that's the coolest thing. I love that so much.
Yeah, it is, and I think people don't realize the power of those little notes.
Mm-hmm.
But I encourage people to do that. I think that's a great challenge. Let's see how we can get that going. But
I
I
love
will tell you, Nikki, I've got a, if you go to my website, this is where I want to tell somebody. If you can
it.
go to my website, I would love to encourage people through that, because on there, there's a spot on my website where you can just hit a QR code. But I send out a positive message every month.
Oh,
And I mean, just a random positivity thing. And I hope that's the one I said, I hope people will push that out and remind people just to do positive, to do a positive thing. So, but before you do that, start with, like I said, a post-it or just something like your
mhm.
mother, leave a little
Yeah,
note here or there that people will be remembered by.
I love it. Very good. Well, this has been super fun. I'm grateful for your time. So thank you so much for being here. Your website is, I've got all of your stuff pulled up here. So it's Ty Gipson with a P, not a B,
That's
right?
right. Gipson.
Ty Gipson, but we've got you on Instagram, we've got you on Facebook. You have your podcast, yes?
I do. I do.
Okay. Okay. Is it just No Options Podcast?
Yeah, no options, Ty Gipson. And if and I'd love for people to go follow it, or and like I said a while ago, that on my website, that number is my phone number. If Nikki, if there's anybody that I can help, call me. If I don't answer, I'll call you back, I promise. But I love to try to help people. And it's amazing. I was on a call. I got a call the other day from somebody from New England
Mm,
who heard one of our podcasts and called me and was
amazing.
going through some challenges, and that was a great conversation. So, what I'm saying,
Hmm. Hmm.
I just want to make sure that's out there if I can help it in any way.
You're a good man. I love that. Thank you so much for your time. And then, of course, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope that you will reach out to Ty. I hope that you'll, follow him and check out his podcast and all those things, because we need more of you. You're great. Thank you for
I
that.
appreciate that. Thank you, Dick. Thanks so much.
And of course, as always, right? So we fully believe here at Taste Life Nutrition that the body is so beautifully and remarkably intelligent. God gave us this amazing little fun piece of machinery that's so complex so we can live out this life that he put us here to live. So it's always adapting, it's always responding, and it's up to us. It really is so much up to us to create our own future. I think that a lot of people are like, it's not really up to me. Well, I make my choices. God has a plan, but he gave me the ability to make choices, right? And so let's be in tune with that, and just, stay curious. I think that's a huge thing. Stay curious, always
Awesome.
listen to your body, steward it well. And we'll be back here. We'll be back here every Thursday at what am I saying? At 10 a.m. Mountain Time, streaming live on kuhsdenver.com. And that's what I got. We'll see you next week. Ty, thanks so much. I'm going to
Thank
send you an
you.
email here in a minute. Okay, I've got some thoughts in my brain.
Perfect.
Thanks, Ty. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.